Hi, I would like to share with you a bit of scripture. It, it's one I think you've heard before, but want to share my thoughts on one particular verse from this from these bits of scripture that I'm going to share with you. It's from Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 to 3. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Now the scripture that I want to point out is Genesis chapter 6 verse 3, where it says that man's days shall be 120 years. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, the plain reading pretty much implies that, or just outrightly states that man shall live to be about 120 years old, and that's pretty much the reading that I get from that. I'm not reading anything else from that. I mean, if we read in context, we find out that God is reducing man's lifespan to about 120 years. I mean, before that, man could live to about centuries old, and I mean the oldest we've seen man live was 969 years, with Methuselah, who who is who is if we go to Genesis chapter 5, the he 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 was basically the grandfather of Noah. I mean, and of course, this was all before the flood. After the flood, man's lifespan began to diminish. He started and living only for decades. Abraham lived to be about 175 years, and then eventually it got down to Moses living about 120 years, and after that, it was reduced even further. We hear in Psalm 90 that 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 the lifespan has been reduced to about 70 or 80 years, which is pretty typical for a man to live. About around the time of Jesus' first coming, being 50 years old was considered being old. Which suggests that lifespan had reduced even further. I mean, I mean, However, there are two other ways that people re- have interpreted this scripture, Genesis chapter chapter 6 verse 3. That man's days shall be 120 years. I mean, one of those alternate ways is basically saying that this is this is God saying that man will have only 120 years left to live before He will judge them. I mean, that's supposedly supported by the fact that that well, the implication that the flood took place about 120 years later. Uh, I mean, after God had said that, just that. But the problem with that interpretation is that God never. The scripture never said that, and God never specifically said that in Scripture, if we take it very literally, I mean, it just says that his days shall be 120 years. I mean, it doesn't it doesn't say man's days shall be 120 years before I will judge him. That's that's what they're reading into the Scriptures. I mean, based on their interpretation. Um, how, however, a third way that people have read it, and it's not, I don't think it's very common, but some some say this is talking about Jubilee years. I mean, if you read in Leviticus chapter 25, there's um, every 50 years Israel is to celebrate what is called a Jubilee year. I mean, this is when pe- people who have sold their property have their property returned, and slaves who are who are like indentured servants to their masters would be released. I mean, because this was considered a year of liberty for people, and this would be also a year of restoration for people, because people who would be impoverished by losing their property by selling off to others would have their property restored dur- during each um, Jubilee year. I mean, this is I mean, if you I suggest you read Leviticus chapter 25 to find out for yourself. But anyway, this interpretation has a problem too. I mean, first of all, it never says it's talking about Jubilee years. I mean, this is just reading into the text what people think. I mean, I mean, I mean, I've calculated what 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 each Jubilee year would be if that's what it meant. That 120 years, if there were Jubilee years, that would mean that would be 6,000 years before God would judge the world. I mean, the question is, when exactly did this Jubilee year started being counted from? Is it from that time that God had stated that, which would be about generations, I mean centuries after the start of the world. I mean, I mean, is it? I mean, this is really silly, and also I don't think God even started instituting the Jubilee years until the establishment of Israel as his own country. I mean, at least for his people Israel. I mean this would the Jubilee year would go into effect when from my understanding, time that they settled into the promised land. I mean, so how exactly are these Jubilee years going to be counted? I mean, this. I mean, I'm just going to go with the plain reading of the text. I mean, not try to add anything into it, or even my own thoughts. It just says that man's days will be 120 years, which is basically saying that man's lifespan is going to be reduced to 120 years. I mean that if I mean there are examples of people living that long, and even when lifespan was reduced to 70 or 80 years, there was this one case of Jehoiada the priest that served alongside King Jehoash of Judah. I mean, he lived to be 130 years, and that was a very rare example. I mean, so I'm sticking with the just the plain reading of the text, and let the text interpret itself, and not try to add my own thoughts into the or anyone else's thoughts into the scripture, because that's going to twist things to suit people's own understandings. I mean, just like so. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to share with you in this video. So, have a good day, and may God bless you.